Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining today's live walkthrough and Q&A session. My name is Dan, and I'm a Senior Customer Success Specialist here at Snap, and today we're going to be covering our TFSA top-up feature that was recently introduced. If you do have any questions during the presentation, feel free to ask them in the Q&A within your Zoom window. I'll try to answer any questions as they come in. It's just me on the call today, so if I'm not able to get to them by the end of the call, just be assured that I will follow up with you later on this afternoon. So before I get into today's sample client, I just want to highlight our Help Center up here where you can find the article in regards to the TFSA top-up. And here it is, the Automatic TFSA top-up and from the non-reg assets. So we do have a step-by-step guide on how to properly use this feature, as well as my colleague Steve has created a great short video of 6 to 7 minutes walking you through how to use it as well. I'll hop back into Snap. So currently I do have all my clients hidden. You do have the option to show all clients or hide all your clients. For now, I will just search by the last name for our sample. And here they are. So Dale and Jane Martin. I'm going to hop into our first scenario here, the simple one. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, we are in our sample John and Jane Martin, and you can see here we have them working up until age 65. And then during the working years, we do have them making contributions to their RSPs. However, you're going to notice that there are no TFSA contributions currently entered, and they do have some non-reg assets available to make those contributions. So I'm going to go over and activate or enable our TFSA top-up feature. So you can go over here to Scenario Setup. We can go down to our assets. Now, if we go over to the subheading for the TFSA, and here's the new feature. So maximize our TFSA contributions for this scenario. So if I check that off, by default, it will also enable use spousal resources if necessary. In this example, there's just a joint account, but as I'll show you in the other scenario, one spouse does have an individual account. So what that will do is for the other spouse, if that joint non-reg account were depleted, it will then start taking funds from their spouse in order to continue to top up their TFSA. So I'll just leave both of those enabled for now, and I'll go back into our planning pages. And currently I'm in John's individual view, so we will scroll over to the right here. And as you can see, we can now illustrate the TFSA contributions that are automatically occurring year over year from their portion of the joint non-reg portfolio. So the goal of the feature is not to affect any of the base expenses and to remain tax neutral. And what I mean by that, if there are any tax savings from making the contribution, it reduces the amount withdrawn. So you can see here, $6,910 and the $7,000 contribution. So there must be some tax savings from making this contribution. Whereas if we scroll down here, it looks like at one point in 2028, when he's 62, he's withdrawing slightly more than the 7,500 that's being contributed, and that would most likely be in regards to a capital gain being triggered from the withdrawal from the non-reg portfolio. So if I go over and I highlight the amount here, you can see the transfer amount of 7,500, just indicating the contribution. I can scroll over here and do that to the non-reg asset as well. Now, if I scroll down here, once the non-reg is depleted, you can see that the contributions no longer are occurring, and there's actually withdrawals happening in order to meet the base expenses that we have entered for the clients. So what you'll notice here is the 51,402. So 22,660 of the 51,402 is going towards each of their TFSAs, both John and Jane's. However, you're going to notice, why is there only showing a contribution of 1,055? So this tells me that he made a contribution of 11,000 at the beginning of the year, because that's when the contributions are being made when the feature is activated. Again, contributions are occurring at the beginning of each calendar year, but it's only showing that a contribution of 1,055 net for the end of the year, which tells me at one point 9,945 would have been withdrawn from the tax-free savings account, again, to help meet base expenses. So I'm going to go over now into our more detailed scenario. So I'm going to switch. I'm going to go into scenario setup. And here you can see under Dale, I've included a individual non-reg portfolio just in his name, as well as I also added a work TFSA for him as well. So I'm going to hop over into the planning pages again. And in regards to using spousal resources, I'll go over to Jane. And we can see here that joint non-registered account is eventually depleted in the projection here. Oh, I should first turn on the feature. Forgot to do that. So let's do that. There we go. Let's go back in. And I'll go back over, sorry, to the joint non-reg. So we can see once that joint non-reg is depleted, we can see she makes the final contribution from that account, but her contributions continue. And this is due to Dale's individual account helping her continue to make those contributions. And you can see that if you go over to the left here, there is a TFSA contribution transfer. So this is what's being transferred over from Dale's individual account, again, to help her continue to make those contributions for the life of the plan. Now I'll hop over into Dale. So you can see now that Dale has these two non-registered accounts and two TFSAs, and you can see the withdrawals happening for both accounts in order to make this contribution to the TFSA. So contributions, when there's multiple of the same account and deposits or withdrawals and contributions are done on a prorated basis. So the account with the larger balance will be drawing more from the other in order to make the contribution. Now, the reason why there's no contribution occurring in the TFSA, again, if we're going back to that prorated basis, this is at a $0 value. There's a value in this TFSA, so that's where 100% of the contributions are currently being directed. Now, again, this is done on a proportional basis. So if we wanted to do a sequential, so based on the order that the accounts have been set up in, so if we want to draw from the joint non-reg only and leave this at 0, we can change that. And you can also change the order. So if I wanted, for example, to deplete John's individual account first, I would just have to move this up above the joint account and save the new order. For now, I'm going to leave it as is. So I'm going to go back to the planning pages. And I'm going to go up to the gear icon beside financial assets. And you can see here the method for withdrawing is done on a proportional basis. So I'm going to now change that to sequential. So based on the order that the accounts have been entered of the same type, I'm going to hit save. And if we go over now, you can see that the joint non-reg is being depleted first. Nothing is coming out of his individual account until it's depleted. And at that point, this is when this account begins to make those contributions to the TFSA. So I'll go and change that back to proportional. Hit save. Now, ultimately, you do have the control over where the contributions are coming from, even when it's set up as proportional. So if we didn't want, say, contributions occurring for a couple years in the projection, we could copy this down, let's say just for the first 2 years to age 60. You can now see the overrides occurring here. I'm going to rerun my plan. And if we scroll over, those overrides have stuck. And now we can see the full amounts coming out of the joint account. So for now, I'm just going to remove those. I'll refresh that. Now let's assume, again, right now there's 100% of the contributions are being made to the personal TFSA, but let's assume that Dale is contributing to this work plan and he is doing 3,000, and we'll copy that down until the year before retirement. And maybe the assumption is once he stops working, there are going to be no more contributions being made to the plan. So I'm just going to copy down the zeros until the end of the projection. And again, I'm going to refresh that. So during those working years, Snap will know that he's contributing that 3,000, and it will make up the difference in his personal TFSA. So we can go over here and you can see the 4,000 now being contributed to max out the 3,000 that's going over here to total 7,000. And this would be coming from his employment income. The 4,000 is being drawn from his personal assets in order to meet that $4,000 contribution goal. So in short, that's what I wanted to cover today in regards to the TFSA top-up feature. Snap is continuing to introduce new features that make planning easier for you and more effective for your clients. I believe in next week's, or I guess 2 weeks from now's session, I will be covering the taxable target income feature. Again, that's been recently introduced. We're finding that it's a huge benefit to you as planners and advisors and your clients. So please look out for that. And I'm just going to take a look if there are any questions that have come in. And I don't see any currently. So with that, again, I appreciate you joining today's live session. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at support. You can find that here. So you can give us a call at any time between 9 and 6, Monday to Friday, Eastern Standard Time. If you prefer, you can send us an email by hitting the contact button, filling in your information, and one of us will be able to see that email and respond to you. We try to get back to everyone within a 2-hour time frame. So if we do not pick up the phone, we try to all the time, but if we're not able to, please leave a voicemail. And again, we try to get back to everyone within 2 hours. So with that being said, I'll let everyone get back to their day. Again, thanks for joining and enjoy the rest of the day. Take care.